It's Ruthie Rocks and Jimmy Day. Happy Monday, the last Monday in March. Jimmy, how was your weekend?
It was really good. I spent Saturday all day at Key Realty School with people that are trying to get their last minute CE. Why do people wait to the last minute, Ruthie?
I don't know. I used to.
Why don't they just spread it out? I mean, you give classes every week pretty much. They could just go do like 1 a month or 2 a month, and by the time that they're ready to renew, they've got everything they need, and they can actually pick a class they want to take instead of something. Because I got to tell you, there's people in there that do not want to be in there. They don't want to take any of this stuff, and why not pick a class you want?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I was talking to Jack about yesterday was if you took one class a month, you would learn more because you're not cramming. And, and if you really want to keep up to date in this industry, because it's ever changing, and I don't see it stop. I don't see the change stopping. You know, I think it's going to continue.
And you listen to everybody. You listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and Ferry and Buffini and all those guys. And you've been doing this, let's see, how long? 3 years now?
Yes. Well, 4 years. Actually.
No, I mean in real estate. How long have you been licensed?
Oh, 34 years.
Oh, and you still do seminars and podcasts and videos and everything after you, and we're still learning. You and I are both, every time we get together, we pick up something, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because as many times as I've done your classes with you, you ask me a question. It's like, oh my gosh, why can't I remember that? But, I mean, and I have a good memory, you know, it's not because I'm old. And it's just funny. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I embarrass myself, but I mean, keep asking me because I got to be on the ball.
Well, I appreciate you sitting in on those classes because you bring something to the class. It would be terrible to just listen to one person for 3 hours. You bring a lot of value to the class for the students because they get a different perspective, and we get to play off each other. And I would way rather come to a class with two instructors like you run your classes. One instructor by themselves, not as good, just not as good.
I know. And I went out on a limb yesterday and I told Jack some of the upgrades I thought he should make to his class, and he laughed because he said, Ruth, you can tell me anything. I wasn't going to be upset. I said, well,
yeah, his childhood prepared him for that. I don't know if he's ever told you, but his childhood prepared him for tough life.
Well, he mentions he had a tough life, but he doesn't go into details. And today we're going to have a show at 1 o'clock with Jack because we're going to have our risk reduction class on a Thursday from 10 to 1. And I have to tell everybody that, you know, I called and I said, Jack, you know, I have some upgrades, but my third upgrade you probably haven't heard yet, but I'd like you to reduce the price from $25 to $20. And he said, I can't do it. He says, I can't do it because I provide all this material and this website I keep updated for them after the class. So that's worth $5. I said, well, okay, you got a good point. So we're going to keep it at $25. And before I called him, Jimmy, I went to another class on risk reduction. And the cybersecurity part of that class was terrible. I mean, you didn't learn anything. In fact, the whole risk reduction class was just screenshots of what NAR says about fair housing and what NAR says about cybersecurity. And it really, I mean, I could have read a book and learned more, or read, you know, go ahead.
And I know another reason why Jack didn't want to do his prices because he's taken those classes too, just like you. He took another class last week to find out what are they putting in this class. Is there something I need to add to my class? He looks at this stuff every day. I see him almost every day. He's online looking at what's the latest information. There's not a better teacher for cybersecurity than him. I would just go hands down and say that, only because he's in it every single day.
Absolutely. And when I did the advertisement for the class this time, I said, don't learn what to do, learn how to do it. Because most people don't teach you how to do some of these technical things. And to upgrade yourself to where you're a cybersecurity pro or expert, you need to learn to know how to do these things to be cyber secure. And it's just a totally different, you know, like we teach ethics and agency and contracts. Well, we dig deep into those subjects to show people how to do them the right way. And with technical abilities, you really have to show people, step by step. And he's a great instructor for that. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, he really does. Let's see what's going on in the market today. Here we go. Come on.
Before you go to that, I just want to mention that he was a realtor and he was also a builder and he flipped homes. So he's had perspective from different areas of not just cyber. He's not just a nerd that is teaching this stuff. He's had the realtor experience and the builder experience. So he brings that to the table too.
He really does. And I'm going to put you in the lobby for a second while I do the stats. Sure. And perhaps you can comment on some of the things I'm going to say. So I'm going to hide you down there. And I'm going to put myself in the corner. There we go. It worked. All right. Well, we've got 20 days of inventory. Doesn't seem to change right now, but that's okay. We listed 101 homes over the weekend. That includes Saturday and Sunday. And you put 102 under contract. So that's a zero-sum game almost. And we had no closings. We do have 1,918 single-family homes. And of those, 496 are 450,000 and under, which makes that 26% of the market. And we still have investors selling 45 homes a day. And we've upped our sales daily now to 130. I predicted it would go to 130 plus before April 1st, which is Friday. Last year, we were selling 157 homes a day, and that was quite something. We're lagging behind 27 sales a day, but I know Jimmy agrees with me. I don't think we can beat last year. It was almost like a year and a half put together because of the pandemic and people's wanting to move because they had spent so many months in their home. I think that had something to do with it too, because of the pandemic. The $1 million home still going up there to 4.5 a day, flying off the shelf, as I say. And the interesting thing is, I'm going to bring Jimmy back on. Jimmy. So Jimmy, the interesting thing that I gleaned today when I was doing the stats is of the 10,120 homes that we have sold this year, the average price, not the median, the average price was $485,000. It's year to date. The average price was $485,000. So that's quite a number. And the 2021, where we sold in March 3,600 homes, the average price was $408,000. That was last March, $408,000. Oops. And then
that one says it's the median. So are we looking at median or mean?
I'm talking average. I'm showing median.
Right.
Yeah, not to confuse. Thank you.
Okay.
And then this March, the average is 504,000. So with the median right now hanging in at 460,000, not a big difference there, which is unusual. That means we're selling more $1 million homes, I would think. What do you think?
Here's what I think. I think statistics are great because they tell us the trends. And so when we look at it over a period of time, and you have predicted, and I was right there with you, that the appreciation would slow down.
Yeah.
But which maybe that's what's happening. Maybe the appreciation is slowing down, but you're still going to be $450,000, $475,000 to buy a median price house in Las Vegas.
Yeah. And look at December, 430,000. If you bought it in December, you made $30,000 in 3 months. Where can you do that? I mean, that's just an incredible number.
Somebody said Elon Musk just came out and said you need to own assets. Elon Musk, and he's one of the wealthiest people on the planet. He said you gotta own assets, hard assets. And he was talking about minerals and a lot of other stuff. But obviously, real estate's the number one asset for most people. Yes,
and the stock market wasn't happy with him either because I was talking to my friend yesterday. We had her over for happy hour, and her home's probably worth $1 million, and it's free and clear. And I said, you know that you could get a reverse mortgage, because she is over 62, and take that money and buy 2 or 3 condos and get $6,000 a month income coming in. And what a relief that would be, because that equity in your home, I call it dead equity. It's dead income. I mean, it's dead money. It's not working for you. And, you know, it's interesting when you talk to somebody that can do it and they're afraid to do it.
Exactly. It's the fear factor. They've never done anything like that. You're asking them to do something. It's almost like, here, taste this. Well, what is it? No, just taste it. Just try it. Just take a little. It's good for you. You'll like it. Yeah, right. Don't tell me to taste. I did that when I was a kid. See if Mikey likes it.
Right. Yeah. That's so funny, because that's so true. And this is a woman who has her own business. She speaks all over the world. Actually, she's been asked to speak all over the world, and she's not afraid of anything. and her reaction just was, oh my gosh, you know. And I said, 45 people a day are buying investment properties, because it's the biggest hedge against inflation. And she's one of these people that has this stockbroker that just keeps putting her into all these stocks. And I said, yeah, well, you're making money, but you're not growing. You don't have appreciation really, and you don't have income. You know, it's nice that you're making a few thousand here and there, but is it really making you as much money, and is it as secure as real estate? She said, well, she didn't know.
Well, and other than some minor income from dividends, which you may get some minor income from dividends, you're not getting anywhere close to the money you'd get from rental income. If you own a house free and clear, you're going to have a big cash flow on top of the appreciation.
Exactly. And, you know, when you get a reverse mortgage, that money you take out is cash. It doesn't have any tax ramifications.
Right.
I mean, so there's so many reasons to do it. And that's why investors are buying a third of our homes every day. Mm-hmm. If somebody could tell the story, obviously better than I could, or maybe it's because we've been friends for 20 years, I don't know. But she, and I told her, we just did it in September, you know, and I, after the foreclosure bust, I was really upset with real estate as an investment personally. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't buying rentals. Of course, we have our building and our house, but that was it. I think you have rentals, right?
I have a couple, yeah.
Yeah. And just think, if you got a reverse mortgage, you could pay for them. You could pay them off, and it wouldn't cost you anything.
Right. And I'm trying to buy one more right now. I am trying to buy another one. So cool. Like you, I'm in the market. I'm in the hunt. And in fact, I think I have one found. So we'll see if we can put this deal together.
Well, if anybody wants, there's a condo in Henderson right now that got a notice of default, and it's in the MLS for $170,000. It's a condo, and the condo complex was built in 2006, so it's pretty new as they go. And $170,000, and I looked at it. You could put probably $25,000 in it, bring it up to snuff, and probably get $1,600, and it has a garage. So you probably get $1,700 a month. So, you know, for $170,000, and the owner's anxious because they don't want it to go into foreclosure and have that on their credit. So It just went a notice of default, even though on the MLS it shows foreclosure, because that's how I found it. On our website, we have foreclosure deals on one of our menu items. So I always on Sunday I try to look to see if there's anything inviting. If that were in Summerlin area or in my side of town, I probably would have buy it. But I don't want to manage a personal property, and that far away. But I mean, if anybody out there, if you have an investor, I mean, I'm just telling you, in the MLS, put up $170,000 for condo, and it'll come up. And I think it's Aspen Loop or something like that, I think is the street name. Anyway, and there's another, I think there's 2 in there, not just 1, but 2. And I did the history. I went back and looked at, you know, who owned it, how long has he owned it, and what did he pay for it? Well, he paid $85,000 for it, so he's going to double his money, even though. And that was that was probably 2010, I think he bought it, something like that. But anyway, the deals are there. You just have to be on the hunt, I guess, like you are.
Right. You got to be on the hunt for sure. That's one of my most successful agents said that was his whole job. He was a hunter. He said, when I find something good, I have a buyer for it.
Yeah. And I tell agents, John and I, when we would take listings back then, they were 6% was just, and I know we shouldn't talk commissions, but we could get the highest percentage that you could get at the time. And we would just turn around and say, well, maybe we can buy this before we list it. And
Right.
and they would give us a discount, of the commission. Actually, they give us a discount of all the closing fees. And yeah, we had several, I don't know, we probably had 10 investment properties. Yeah. And that's how we did it, just by and using our commission plus, a few more thousand for a down payment. But anyway, there's lots of opportunities there for everybody.
I have two things I want to get out to us. Number one, you talked briefly about Annetta's looking for a warehouse to have the showgirls thing.
Yes.
And she still hasn't found one. She needs a 100,000 square foot warehouse. So if you can grab one somewhere and get the listing side of it, she's got a tenant for this 100,000 square foot warehouse. She looks at the Fry's building, and because of the ownership and the way that it's structured, but Fry's would have been perfect because they're closed. It's over 100,000 square feet. It's got a lot of parking. If you can find anything like that, Annetta would love to make money with you. And the second thing is I'm listening to a book, or I just listened to a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Blank by a guy named Mark Manson. And what he said, I wouldn't recommend the book. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh.
But his points, his number one point was, he said, if you don't like what you're getting, change your stimulus, which Covey says in his books, stimulus and response, if you don't like the results you're getting. But he also said, if we're normal, we're average people, and we think we're outstanding. And he said, get a hold of your ego, number one. And he said, realize that you're not going to be happy all the time. What do they say? Pain is a fact of life, but suffering is optional. So he's got a lot of little things in here. But the biggest takeaway that I got out of this book was, he said, be unhappy.
No.
If you're happy, you don't strive for more. He says, there's all these books out there that be happy, be happy. I know your dog's even named Be Happy. But he says, if there's not a little bit of unhappiness in there, you won't strive for any more. He said, we talked about that WeCroak app and you're going to die and all that stuff. But he says, you know what? If you're complacent, if you're too happy, being too happy is not a strength.
No. Be happy is kind of a mission with me, I worked out this morning, and I went really early. I was up at the club at 5:00, and so I was done right before the sun came up. And there's a spot here in Red Rock where you can look down on the city, and the sun was just barely coming up. And I sat there for, I guess, 12 minutes and listened to Tony Robbins today. He has this great, if you go and Google him today or go on YouTube and just listen to him talk about how exactly what you're saying. I mean, you've got to continue to strive for more. You just.
Well, I guess the message isn't not to be happy. It's not to be content.
Yes.
Because when you get content, then you get complacent. So being happy, maybe you could be happy on your way to discontent. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. But I would just tell everybody, just listen to that Tony Robbins. And he said something really interesting. I mean, interesting for me because I have a weight problem. But he said, if you stand like with your arms out and your legs out, it will actually create testosterone in your body and get rid of that cortisol, that steroid that stops your body from processing fat and carbohydrates. And there's a TED Talk. A lady finally did a study about that. And there's a TED Talk about how you stand and how it can improve your mental, how you feel mentally. And Tony Robbins had everybody he was speaking, and he had everybody stand up and do that with their hands up and their legs apart. And for, I think, 2 minutes. And he says, how do you feel? Don't you feel better? Don't you feel stronger? And he said, sometimes we have to get out of ourselves. And that's how he put it. You have to get out of yourself, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, take a different position, because now you're getting out of your normal self. So anyway, right. I watched the sun come up and the lights go down on the strip, and it was just a an emotional, motivational moment, if that's a possibility, because that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I felt emotional at first,
Cool.
and then I started feeling really better.
Somebody told me about that on Sunday. Colette is in Colorado, and she's coming back to Vegas next week. And she told me about that, what you're talking about right now. So this is twice now. I guess I'm going to have to watch it.
Yeah.
I've heard it twice in 2 days. I better watch it.
Yeah, it's really good. And I don't listen to him that often, maybe just once a week. You know, I want to, because he always says things in a different way, things that we know, but the way he puts them and the examples he gives are very inspiring for me anyway.
Yeah, no, his delivery is inspiring for sure, and transformative for sure.
Yeah. And one other thing today, Jimmy, I'm a fan of Chelsea Peitz, and Chelsea Peitz is an Instagram jam girl. And so she has some great marketing tips here about content. And I'm just going to, perks of superfanning, I'm going to download this for everybody so that you can get it in the group, because it's too much to read or to even tell you about. There's so much here, but I'll just hit the highlights, like make your content profiles searchable. That's important. And then what are relevant hashtags and keywords? That's important. Create shareable, savable content. That's what we like to do, is we want people to save what we do. And then client-focused content categories. And ever since I had Chelsea on my show probably 2 years ago, and she always does the 5 E's: educational, entertaining, emotional, engaging, and exclusive. And those are the things every time you do a video or you write a blog or you're doing a reel on Instagram or stories on Facebook, you need to address at least 2 of these: educational, entertaining, emotional, engaging, and exclusive. And I always say you have to be engaging. You have to be engaging. And to some degree, I think you should be entertaining. And then and entertaining and educational are kind of go hand in hand with me. So engaging, educational, and entertaining, I think, are really important. Emotional and exclusive are a little bit different things that you're conveying. If you're exclusive, you're talking to a particular person almost. And if you're emotional, you're appealing to somebody's sense of urgency to buy a house, or fear, like my friend, so anyway, she's just terrific. And what content is likely to get shared or saved? She gives you all these examples. And then number 4, be story focused. You have to be able to tell a story, and turn statements into captivate and convert. That's really good. And how to find your story, which is one of my favorite things that she says. So I'm going to download this. And she says, are you using stories format, and then conversations? And so those are the 5 points, and how to format your post, start more. This is just a real complete little checklist of what to post and how to create the content, and then the formatting and what have you. The thing is that Chelsea wrote a book, and it was all about content, and the book was probably 1.5 inches thick. And it was very dry. I couldn't get through it. I mean, it was just too, it was too basic and not a lot of punchlines and things like that. Like this book that you gave me, and I read part of it this weekend. This guy knows how to write.
Yeah.
He hits the highlights, which I love. It's an easy read. I like that. Thank you again.
Good. You're welcome.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to put this down on the group, and there she is. She is. If you see her on Instagram, she's a riot. She's a riot, and her employer is Tycor Title, or is it Fidelity Title? Is that the parent company? But yes,
FNG, yeah.
Yeah, but what I love, I mean, I just love, if that's all I had to do was one platform, like she does Instagram so well, but that's all she does,
Right.
And she creates things and what have you, and she's really good. Anyway, I will definitely download this on the group today. So.
Well, obviously you can take those hints and use them on Facebook Reels.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not platform specific. They're just hints on how to get engaged.
Exactly, that's the important thing. Yeah, like Teresa Estrada wrote a very great post today. It was in my feed this morning, and yeah, it was very engaging. So it's something that either you have as a gift or you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're very engaging. My gosh.
We can learn it. We can learn it for sure. We're all coachable.
We're all coachable. Yeah, I guess we are.
I should be here. I should be here tomorrow. That's my plan.
Oh, super, super. Oh, there's Annetta. Annetta,
Yep,
we were
she's
talking
here.
about you. Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see everybody. Yeah. And
I'm gonna have to run. I got an agent coming in, so
okay.
I'm gonna have to run. But I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day. Give us a like or a love.